Welcome back to the Coruscant Nights podcast. Thanks for joining us. I'm Cooper, joined with Jack today. We've just come out of watching the Bad Batch finale, episode 15. The
Mm,
cavalry has arrived. It was a 50-minute long episode, a really super long
damn.
episode
Yeah.
tonight for the finale, and we're going to discuss what we thought about it. So, Jack, before we
Yes.
kind of get into it, we were just discussing before, we don't necessarily feel a need to discuss. Um, 12, 13, 14 because they all felt kind of similar in the sense that they were setting up this finale
Mm-hmm.
rather than actually
Yep.
having something meaningful and important in it. Like obviously
Mm-hmm.
episode 12 set up Rampart's arc, but then everything else was really just finding information and getting to Tantus. So whereas
Yep.
yeah, so we don't really feel a need to talk about it. They're all kind of similar in our heads.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep. 100%. I agree.
on that note, Jack, the cavalry has arrived. Thoughts?
Okay, so this is one of the rare few times that Cooper and I haven't really gone straight to letting us know each other our thoughts before recording. So it's quite fresh. We literally both just finished it. I want to say that seeing the long run time made me. I think we're going to discuss this, our expectations versus what actually happened. I thought it was going to be a lot more heavy with kind of stakes and elevate kind of from what everyone was expecting. But in my opinion, it kind of felt just like the other episodes just mixed together for being a longer one. And I was like, well, that's not a bad thing to say. Like, in overall, it wasn't a bad finale. It wasn't very finale-esque. It was just a kind of a season ending, in my opinion. Like, I know they had that cute thing at the end where they sat there and looked at the bush, and then we had a weird time skip with old Omega, which I thought was a bit. I don't know. I didn't really feel comfortable watching it. I was a bit like, what? I was like, what am I looking at right now? It didn't even give us an age. Hunter just looks like an old man now, and now she's gonna go fight for the rebels. But that's something where it's like, in the storytelling purpose, we kind of assumed. I think it would have been better to be left with the imagination that they were still like chilling out, or people would have assumed that they were going to be fighting with the rebels. Now you know that only really Omega went, and only they're going to come if she asks them to come. Which I don't know if I like that or not, because in my head canon, I would have preferred it to be like, oh, let's leave their ending kind of a mystery, because then they might come back later. But now we know that there's a weird time period in between, like young and old.
Yep.
So I think when it comes to that, it's a bit of a weird situation. So I'm gonna quickly say just shortly, overall I think it was good, but not a great finale. But I want to hear your thoughts before we go into
Yeah.
the nitty-gritty.
Okay. So I got faked out so many times. I thought Wrecker was going to die about three different times. They were
Yes,
setting it
yeah,
up
that's true.
straight from the get-go. They were setting it up. Oh, I
Yep.
can't continue like this. They were setting it up. So my main thing was I thought it was a good episode. Like what you were saying, finale, yeah, not amazing. I think it lacked the stakes. Like they
Yep,
really
that's the
set
word.
up certain characters going in a way that this was going to be it. This was going to be their final contribution to the show,
Yeah.
to the group, and everyone got out. That was my main thing. I thought as soon as Hemlock died and they were heading back, I'm like, okay,
Ah,
Vader's got to come in here and step in the way or something
yeah,
because no way they're just going to
yeah.
walk straight out. Which they did. They did. I mean, I don't know what the writing process was because even from the intro, I'm like, oh, okay, we're getting dark here. The paint stripped off the title. We're going full dark here. The music's
Hmm.
changed. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
But no,
And
but
no,
no.
it didn't really go that way. It went for more of a hopeful outlook, which I don't hate, but just again, it's the lack
Mm.
of like consequences because it just felt like even in that room where the cloned Bad Batch or whatever were, I mean, I thought it was literally replicas of all four of them
That's
when
what
I saw
I
the clone assassins.
kind of thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not
Um,
really sure about that though. Yeah.
yeah, but I thought Echo, I thought he was a goner as well. My God. How many times did
Mm.
he
Yep.
escape near death? It was just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even Crosshair, I feel like he probably was probably the highest on the
Mm.
list that he was gonna go, but no.
Yep.
I mean, he just ended up
No.
sitting there looking out into the distance. That's the last we
Even
saw him.
Emery, even
Emery, yeah,
possible Emery sacrificing, but
yeah.
no.
The only one in my
Ah,
mind that
yeah.
kind of had a mini sacrifice, which kind of changes in my mind the
I know
whole
what you're gonna say here.
the Empire, was Nala Se.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So the last
She saved it.
She did, and she was the last Kaminoan in the galaxy. Well, to
Mhm.
our knowledge. So she
To
basically was
what we
like,
know.
you know what? The survival of my species, I mean, even though she was,
Ends
it's like I'm gonna end it
yeah,
with me rather than let the Empire continue
the
to work.
Empire succeeding.
I mean, that's noble, but I feel like we didn't really get that much of a build up for the Nala say anyway.
Yeah, this is, and I think that's also the same with Hemlock's weird betray. Like we kind of knew that was going to happen, but I thought when they freed the other clones that he was going to side with them. Strangely, I had a kind of a vibe that after he like Echo was like, "Oh, we're brothers, we're clones, we stick together," kind of thing. I thought he was gonna, for some reason, side with them, but then he just did his old route where it's like, "I'm just gonna get my ranks back,"
Yeah.
and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's such a
Do
bland.
you
It's
mean
like
Duke
such a
Rampart? Do you mean
yeah,
Rampart? Yeah.
Rampart, not Hemlock. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, yeah, Rampart. Sorry, too confusing. But I was like, I understand that he wasn't going to turn good, but I thought it would be a bit. I mean, but then people would complain about that too, saying, "Oh, he shouldn't. He was, the villain of that first season mainly and everything." But it's like, well, I don't know. And then it's just, I feel like it's kind of bad to say that you want a batch member to have passed away in the finale, but then I think that would have made it feel a lot more impactful. Like this place was so hard to get to. They went through so much to get them out, but in the end, it just felt like a regular kind of Clone Wars episode, which is
Absolutely.
interesting. Mm.
Absolutely. I also felt like the Zillow Beast could have done more. Like,
Yeah, Zillow Beast was wasted, I think, a lot. Yeah,
the only thing it did was be a distraction, which I mean, that's kind of what it was purpose was. But I thought, oh, the whole base is going to start to crumble. But then when I saw the actual size of the Zillow Beast in comparison, I'm like, yeah, it's probably not going to do that much damage. But
it's like
yeah,
a
I
baby
thought it was a
one.
bit
Yeah.
wasted. Yeah.
Mm.
Uh,
It's yeah, I don't know. It's just I'm left in a confused matter about this one because I'm not overly happy about it, but I'm not overly disappointed about it. But I'm more just like I understand they went the hopeful route at the end because it's the season like series finale, like series as a whole. But if it was a season, would have they gone a bit darker? That's where I'm thinking. I'm like, if they knew that there was another season, would they have made this Tantus kind of thing a bit more impactful? You would say. I don't know.
maybe. I don't know. But I mean,
Yeah,
based off of the ending, it seems like Tarkin's like done with everything. So we're not going back
Stardust
to
is back
cloning. That's literally the last we're seeing of cloning, which makes me think,
until
how on earth does it get started up again for Palpatine in the future? Like,
I think you know what? Yeah, that's a good point. I was thinking about it at the same time. Here's my weird conspiracy. Did Palpatine, after this massive kind of like almost exposure to like his undercover scheme here, did he try to keep that a lot more confidential after this and try to did it in a secretive way that now is just we don't really know about it? But like he might have gotten some sort of remains of a fake like or a lesser strong replica to be immortal in that sense. You know what I mean? Like not the proper way he was meant to do it in this sense, and that's why Darth didn't know about it, and that's why you know what I mean. He's probably
mm,
realized that this was meant to be his big secret operation, but it got exposed by a bunch of random clones. If he
yeah,
was to do it again, it probably he knows the outcome, and that's why I guess. And also, it's interesting that Tarkin gave that kind of a bit of like, oh, let's just focus our resources and everything on Stardust, but Project Stardust, which is obviously the Death Star. But wouldn't that have already been kind of the like focus? This was meant to be like a side thing of the Emperor, not the Empire. Like I thought,
that's true.
like the Death Star's more Empire kind of dominant, but then this is just like an Emperor's side hustle kind of thing. Like I
Yeah.
didn't, yeah,
Well, also, I know Tarkin knew something was going on, and obviously that's why he asked about was any of the information recoverable when, like, right at the end. Um, I think he didn't know what was going on, and he wanted to know what was going on, and
maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. I think, I mean, why would Tarkin? Obviously, if like what you're saying, if it's the Emperor's
Mm,
side hustle, why
mm.
is Tarkin getting involved? Or how am I trying to put it? Just
Yeah,
why is Tarkin concerned with this when he should be concerned with other things? Like obviously it's taking up a big part of the budget for the Empire, which
yeah.
should be unlimited. But
Mm.
yeah, I don't know, it just seemed a bit odd. And
Yeah.
I got to be honest, while we're talking about like
Mm.
Tarkin Emperor stuff. I know we kind of discussed prior to the episode about Vader, and
Yeah,
we were kind
yeah.
of thinking that, well, you were thinking that he probably wasn't going to show up. I was under the assumption that he was, but
Mm.
how do you feel without him showing up? Do you feel all right with that?
Um, I think I'm mixed. Of course, as a fan, you would want Darth to show up and kind of give his authority and his dominance kind of over them and show why he's kind of the next in line. However, putting him in this, and it would be like putting him in another project where it's like he wasn't teased beforehand. He's kind of just that gimmick now. If he was put into it, like, oh no, the Empire's in trouble. What are we gonna do? Sends Vader. It's like
Yeah.
it's kind of good that they didn't, but then at
Yeah.
the same time, it would be like if it was such a big thing, then why wouldn't they send Darth? But then at the same time, the Emperor probably wouldn't send Darth because then Darth would have knowledge by throwing him off the edge later. Probably
But
wouldn't be that good if
that's
yeah,
like it's the same thing. You put Tarkin, it's the exact same situation.
he
So
should know.
it's
Yeah,
weird. It's a weird.
but also I was just as we are talking about Tarkin. Why have Tarkin's been our head focus again? But like, I rate Tarkin. And I think he's a great character. However, now that you see this, he wasn't involved in this project, which is one of the bigger ones, really. And he also really wasn't in charge of the Death Star because that was Krennic.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this guy's really just meant to be like a scary boss leader, but he doesn't do anything. He's
Yeah.
just there.
He's
Like he
there.
actually,
Exactly.
when has we've seen him be at the helm or like at the steering wheel of one of these major imperial things?
That's
Like
it.
he's
I
never.
mean, he's just kind of the
Mm.
overseer. He's like
Yeah.
yeah, just the
He's like a
overseer
work
of
safe
everything.
person. Comes into work, checks on work progress, and is like,
He
"Yep,
is.
everything looks
Yeah,
good here."
everything's good here. Yeah. Well, I mean, you see, in the council in season two, did the same thing when he was speaking to with the council with Krennic and all that. So yeah, exactly.
Yep,
It's exactly like that.
yep. It's so funny, so funny.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I'm happy that it's ended. To be fair, because I know I'm an avid non-fan of it, but I think you can't really drag more of this like storyline
Right
with
out.
these
Yeah.
characters. I feel like they can only go to an extent of being so far. So I'm happy that it's ended, and I don't. And we're gonna mention it a bit after, just an overall rating of the whole series rather than season. I think overall it is a good series. I just don't think it's great, and I don't think it's horrible though. I just think it's very bare minimum. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think calling a series average nowadays is considered like calling something
Bad.
mid
Yeah.
is considered like a bad, but it's still good. It's like average. Like it's watchable. You get some enjoyment out of it. Some are not as great as others, and some episodes are a lot worse than others, but that's just how it works. And I think my overall thing is it says I didn't really connect with the Bad Batch from the get-go, and I never really did. So I
That's
think
fair
as
enough.
your main protagonist, not really connecting with them on like a deeper level, just it's not as hard to say goodbye to him in a way.
Yeah, I
But like the
suppose.
concept of the time period and seeing the clone commandos and cloning stuff, I think is a lot more sad for me to go.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean? Like I love
that's
the
fair.
aesthetic of Tantus and everything. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's just my thoughts about that. Yeah.
I will just add quickly before I give my thoughts on the series as a whole.
Mm.
Actually, I'm going to say two things. One, Echo
Hmm.
was the MVP of this episode. My God, he was
Mm.
everywhere. He was
He carried.
awesome. He
Yep.
carried.
Carried.
He was everywhere. He was awesome. He was so good.
Yeah. Hmm.
Second thing, that final
No
stand.
Rex.
No, Rex. Yeah, I know. I thought he would show up.
I forgot about that. Yeah. Where's the cavalry? Wait, who was the cavalry?
I think it was the clones being the cavalry, like the clones. I know. Or
They died
maybe.
doing
No, no,
nothing.
no, no, no. It's the bad bat. It's Crosshair, Wrecker, Hunter being the cavalry.
We already knew they were
We did,
arriving.
we did.
Ah.
I know. Well, yeah, I
Continue.
don't know. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
this final standoff between Hunter and Crosshair and Hemlock, that was awesome.
Mm,
And that like
mm,
stance that Hunter and Crosshair were doing was beautiful. Yeah, like they were
mm.
leaning on each other, they trusted each other. It was a great brotherly moment,
Yeah.
and it shows how far the
No,
characters
that
have
was
come.
yep. That
Yeah, it
was the
was
most emotion I got from any episode or any interaction. It did feel
absolutely.
fulfilling. It
Yep.
did very much feel fulfilling. So
Yeah.
that was good. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. As for my overall thoughts on the series, um, so I quite liked season two. I know a lot of people regard that as the worst of them. I liked it because it really started to grind into the characters and what they're sort of about, and especially Tech. And I know that they were setting up for his demise, obviously, but even just the familial relationship with Omega, all of them, it was just really nice to see. Season one was a good setup, and it obviously had big stakes with the Camino stuff at the end. Season two was more of a it is filler, but I appreciate the filler because it was impactful for the characters. This
Mm,
season probably had by far the best stretches of episodes.
story.
It had the
Yeah.
best story, even though it was a bit it was a bit quicker than I thought it would be. We discussed it in our
Yeah.
first podcast that Omega and Crosshair escaping Tantus was way too easy, and it only did
Mm,
3 episodes. So that was kind of like, whoa, okay, I thought it was going to take half the season. No.
yeah.
So, but I thought that, you go back to Identity Crisis, Point of No Return, even the third episode, Shadows of Tantus, beautiful
Yeah.
episodes, some of the best animated episodes I remember seeing. So this season really brought up the score for me overall.
Mm.
So if you're right for me to give my score on the series,
Yeah, of course. Go for it.
I'm
Go
gonna
for it.
give The Bad Batch an 8 out of 10. I was very, very
Woo!
satisfied with this show.
Damn. Well, yeah, I'll just quickly, I guess, conceptualize a little bit more in depth, I guess, about that. Looking back at it, I didn't really like season one. However, putting it into comparison, I actually think it did a really good job at setting up these characters, and yeah, it's up there. Actually, I think it's competing with season three as one of the best seasons of the Bad Batch, in my opinion. And what you said about season two actually makes sense to why I don't like it, in the sense that it really has no plot. It's more about the characters. And like I said before, the characters I don't resonate with mean that when it's so just solely focused on spending time with them rather than progressing a main narrative, that's where I think I disconnected a little bit.
Yep.
So I think it goes strong season one with having Camino, which everyone always loves, and it felt like a very, very follow up just from the movies, like straight away. That felt the most time period perfect, you know.
Yep.
And then season two, it really fell short for me. It had a lot of filler, and I think I would like the filler too if it was for characters I cared about. Like if let's just say, the Rebels, for example. We're gonna If you guys want to know anything, a little bit of a treat, we are doing a Rebels thing soon, coming up soon, which is exciting. And I think those filler ones I enjoy a lot more because I actually cared about the characters a lot more. And I think that's where I'm trying to compare the two, because obviously they're both animated projects in, a time period set with the Empire kind of being in full force. It's hard to not compare them in a sense. And season three, I think, had the best story driven narrative. It just did feel fast at some points, but then slow, way too slow in other points. Towards the end of the season, there was no. I thought because they were going slow that the end was gonna like be like boom, 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 but then it kind of just went like boom. Oh, came straight back down. Like it wasn't. It didn't go as high as I thought it would go. And I think that's what let it down for me a little bit. I don't think the show is bad. I just don't think it is nowhere near great or amazing. So I'm gonna have to give it like a 5.5 out of 10.
Whoa.
Yeah, 5.5.
Whoa.
You can't. This is why, because you can't have a whole season, in my opinion, be so bad out of only a show with 3 seasons. Having one of them, like if you're having 3 seasons, all of them need to be pretty good to be a high ranking. In my
Okay.
opinion, season two was almost hot garbage. It was rivaling season one and season one of both Rebels and Clone Wars, and I thought those are still better. In my opinion, they're still better. But like they're not the best seasons in their respective shows, and I think it's a bit embarrassing when you're trying to rival the worst
Wow.
of another show. So
Wow. There you go.
yeah,
There you go.
hot takes,
Hot
always
takes.
on this channel.
Yeah, always will be, whether it's Last
Always.
Jedi or Bad Batch or I don't know. What else have we got? We'll save it for another video.
we're yeah, another
Yeah,
video, hot
yeah, yeah.
take video.
Yeah. Speaking of TV seasons, if you haven't been
Mm,
following along on YouTube, we're doing another tournament on our community page. I think we're just about to reach the end of round two, which will have the Bad
second
Batch
round.
season three. So go vote
Yep.
on that. I think it comes out tomorrow. Tomorrow, yeah, it'll be tomorrow.
I'm not sure
Um
actually.
yeah, it will be tomorrow. So go vote away. We've had
Mm,
really good reception to this poll so far, which has been great. We'll be down to the final eight within the week. And yeah,
hmm
we'll start the final eight
Yep.
and determine the best one soon, which is
We've also got an interesting, exciting thing coming up. So I think at the time of when this recording gets up, it will be before it, and I'm pretty sure it is. But Miss May the 4th weekend coming up. So how very exciting is that for Star Wars fans? So
Oh,
we'll be
absolutely.
having we'll be having a cheeky little few videos about one animated project that we're very excited for, which is obviously Tales of the Empire, and also a surprise one which we shall not name.
That's
Something that
it.
Cooper and I are very very excited to talk about. And
Yeah.
yeah, so we hope you guys liked our what's it called breakdowns of the Bad Batch, and let us know your thoughts about the series or even just the season as a whole. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's sad to say goodbye to this show. As much
it
as
is. It is
haven't really enjoyed every single week, it's been a treat to be able to still watch Star Wars
Yeah,
content. So, and I mean, look,
100%.
hopefully, I mean, this probably will be the last time we'll see the Bad Batch. Maybe the clones, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But
Maybe.
alas,
Yeah,
credit to all the voice actors, the creators, everyone.
100%. Billy
Was-
D, perfect.
Yes, yes. Hopefully this is not the last time we hear his voice at all. Yeah.
Definitely not. He's going to come back as a clone at some point or
Yeah,
something.
gotta.
He's
He's gotta.
100%. He's
He's
too
gotta.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Go follow us on social media at Coruscant Nights. Thanks to Ben and Keita, our patrons. You can find the link in the description. And that's it for this week. We will see you next week for
Yep.
Tales of the Empire. All right.
Woohoo! All right.
See
Catch
you
you.
guys.